next option below.
Yeah, okay. Then there is no problem. Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, good afternoon, and we are going to deal with one of the very interesting and important perspective for our future learning of homeopathic mathematica. This is a phenomenological study of the mind in homeopathic mathematica. This is an unique contribution which Dr. Roberts has given it to us, and we could not explore for so long. And it has started of late that we are now started studying the mathematica from these perspectives. The perspectives was always there, but giving it in a proper scientific structure and coming out with the proper image is something which is challenging and which we all need to get in for our future outcome of quality mathematica study. So the objective of this presentation will be to comprehend what is the concept of phenomenology, how it is applied in a homeopathic practice, how we learn to build an homeopathic mathematica image, and what are the approaches which we can follow so that from our day-to-day practice we can comprehend this over a period of time. It's a challenging task, but we all need to get into this so that we are able to create a quality mathematica images through these approach. I comprehended this concept by principle of art and cure by homeopathy by H.A. Robert. I mean, we all have read that phenomenological perspective from H.A. Roberts' book, but it takes a length to understand what is his perspective and understand the application to homeopathic practice. I mean, I would request that all of you must read that chapter again and understand that what level of quality additions he want all of us to do with our homeopathic practice and understand homeopathic from those perspectives. Then our master, Dr. M.L. Dhawale, our founder, who has worked on this approach and has written a lot of literature in our ICR symposium volume on Hahnemannian totality. And there are certain ideas and concepts which I have comprehended from a PowerPoint by Kirsten Casey from Anna Arundel Community College. I mean, there are concepts which I took which are applicable for our study of homeopathic mathematica. So let's understand what is phenomena. Phenomena is a fact or a situation that is observed to exist or happen. A remarkable person or thing which when we talk of he's a phenomenal person or he's a phenomenon, but primarily what we are concerned with is a fact or a situation that is observed to exist or happen. So study of these phenomena is called a phenomenology. So we will understand how we can study this phenomenology. This is an interesting para which I picked up from H.A. Roberts' book, and he quoted Oliver L. Reiser, the associate professor of philosophy from University of Pittsburgh, and it is 1935 quotation that integrating the vast and unwieldy masses of facts like what we have in our provers or in many of our cases of the science into meaningful whole, how to derive meaning out of those facts. The adoption of a phenomenological point of view is recommended. So he has recommended, if you want to understand and give a meaning to all the facts which we collect by proving our medicines or by our clinical experiences, we must follow the phenomenological viewpoint. So by phenomenology is meant a study of that which exhibit or display itself. It is a descriptive point of view obtained by viewing the things as a whole. So by this we understand it is a study of a experience. I mean, I will put it in a very simple way as described by a patient and integrating them and viewing thing as a whole. So we will understand how this is being done. Now there are certain perspective when we look at from a homeopathic mathematica perspective. So, I mean, it's an interesting quotation from Carl Dunham. While Mater Medica in the book is a simple record of observed facts, in the mind, but in the mind of practitioner, it becomes a subject of reflection. So, how we pick up those facts, how we compare those facts, how we reason out those facts, which will be directly proportional to my natural ability, means the physician's own natural ability and his intellectual culture. So, I mean, understanding a Mater Medica in not only involve what is being written in a book, it also involves the subjective perspective and subjective ability of a practitioner to comprehend. Now, this is a challenge when we are looking at the part of phenomenology. So, and homeopathic Mater Medica is record book of effect of drug on human being, and it is based on drug proving. So now these are the perspectives. So let's understand, these are the two parallel things. One is from source book, you develop the whole image, and from one is from the patient, and then we integrate. So let's understand how we approach to study phenomenology. And this is going to be a little a difficult perspective for all of us, but it is very easy from another perspective when we look at from our experiences and put them into a proper perspective. And those perspectives which we follow every day is causation. What is the cause of something, some phenomena, how it has started, how further it has evolved, what impact it had on a different areas, and what are the parallel phenomena which are going on with this. So let's understand and pick up through case. This is a 35 years old lady who is a teacher and was a graduate. She's married since 12 years. Husband is in Kuwait and doing job there. She's a Roman Catholic, with father with 65 years and mother 60 years. Has got 3 brothers and 2 sisters. She came with the complaint of indigestion and burning since 6 years. And she had done a herniatomy and elements from tension. There was an ongoing stress which she experiences, and it aggravates between 2 meals. And when the complaint happens, she becomes restless, uneasy, and irritable. Same time, she has got griping pain, a history of nausea and vomiting, and loose motions, which are frequently happening due to pungent food. Which is better with Digene, ice cube, rest, passing stool, and from outside food, it all gets aggravated. She is an obese lady with black discoloration, boil heat, with smelling axillary perspiration, with acidity, with aversion to milk, salty and sweet, and craving vegetables. Her menstrual history is regular with 4 days dark red blood. She had some before heel pain and hypogastric pain before the period. During period, her varicose veins gets a little more swelled. She gets leukorrhea, which is profuse and watery. She has 3 gravida, 2 para, 1 natural abortion done 1 year back. 1 pregnancy where was a molar abscess and she was depressed, and in second pregnancy she was having a low BP. With the family history of mother arthritis and a heart problem, and father operated for kidney stone, and there was some leg problem which she was not able to communicate. She herself operated for appendix at the age of 13. She gets leukorrhea problem was off and on. She had acidity problem in the past, which has recurred in last 6 months. She had severe dental problem during pregnancy. She had hernia after second delivery, which was operated, and she had fallen down and fractured leg twice. And she has a problem with the reading with the right eye problem, which she is now exploring. The history goes that she was born in a family, and the time of the birth, the same day it was raining and the father lost the job. Now, father blamed the patient as a bad omen and blamed her, and he rejected the patient completely. Now, this rejection of father continued during her childhood, and they were at Kuwait, and the grandmother was at Goa. So father was never directly communicated with the patient. He was always angry on her, and in the process he used to send patient back home at Goa, where she was staying with the grandmother. And there was an aunt who used to instigate the grandmother against the patient. So patient had gone through the rejection and the neglect from a early childhood, or I would say from the birth, and she continued to experience that. Father had a habit of drinking and beating siblings. Now patient used to save all the siblings and used to take beating on behalf of the siblings, but none of the siblings cared for her. Now this is a very interesting. You go on taking the beating one day after the another, and your siblings are hardly care for you. They never used to share the gifts which their father used to just bring it for them and not for the patient. Now this was very clearly available to the patient, but patient used to go out of way to protect them, to help them, to take the beating, and was trying to get into a good book of father. So neglected by a father, she got vexed because of paternal aunt used to instigate grandmother. Sibling had no affections. She took beating for them, so she had to suppress all her emotions, and which were resulted into the recurrent skin complaints and leukorrhea. She went through an early insecurity and forsaken feeling. So early she learned to take responsibilities. She completed her studies by her own, and she started catering. Now the only outlet she could have was going out, and she chose that. She started catering to unprivileged slum children. She started teaching them. She started preparing them, and she proudly said that those students remember me. Now that was her channelization of the outside world, but her internal pain and agony continues with the behavior of father, siblings, and mother had no say, but she also never came forward to protect her. Only thing is, grandmother had a little different role. When she was instigated by a paternal aunt, she used to get angry. Otherwise, she was the only support structure which patient had. Now, marriage was due to the emotional blackmail which mother did, uh, and she said that if you don't do the marriage, she will be thrown out. So she went ahead and did the marriage. Now the problem continued and continued at her husband's place. Immediately after marriage, husband lost the job, and the same thing happened. The mother-in-law and sister-in-law, they started taunting patient as apsakuni, or the person who जिसके पैर अच्छे नहीं है. But both the times, the father, even the mother-in-law and sister-in-law, forgot that immediately after the husband got a better job than the previous job, but that was not taken. So forsaken feeling, void of love continue. She became affectionate, religious. She started teaching in slums, so sensitive to suffering. She suffered from headache and acidity. She wanted love, care, and appreciation, so she went out of way and started helping them. And she started even helping mother-in-law and sister-in-law. Husband was abroad. She was worried about husband's health, so she never used to complain about her plight, and she was not wanting to trouble him. So she was not sharing her problem. She was feeling lonely. There was no support structure, but she continued and continued to serve mother-in-law who was not well. So she was the only one who looked after her. Now she went on supplying, and she felt that the people are not giving back to her. After some time, the patient's father realized it. So he wanted to meet her, but patient had a fear that what if he starts behaving in the same way. So she wanted somebody, but there was nobody available. The sense of unfortunate crept in. And but what was important is her tolerance and continuous ability to supply. So and that continued in spite of being lonely. Husband is not there, mother-in-law and sister-in-laws. So her ability to sustain, ability to function continued. She is very attached and over anxious about children. She is anxious about mother-in-law's health. She went and did the confession in a church, and she has probably forgiven everybody, but she had an reservation about meeting the father. She has a dreams of dead bodies. She had dreams. Now look at her subconscious mind. Parents took her back and they are loving her, and husband is with her. Now these are the types of dreams and these are the desires which she repressed. And to get that love and the care, she went on supplying and suffering at a physical level. So now what has happened is she was neglected, forsaken, vexed. She suppressed her emotions, but she went on overdoing. In a process, she thought that she will get the love, care, and appreciation, but she never got it. So she went into dissatisfaction. So we again supplied it, and the whole cycle continued. But what was important is her emotional sustenance of supply and her breaking down of her physical complaints. So void of love, yearning for love and recognition, the internal demand unfulfilled, she chose to supply to others, dissatisfaction, repression, and this cycle continued. So this took us to magnesium in her case. Now this is a whole cycle which we could see. Now we had seen the patient evolving from a childhood to an adolescence, the marriage, the post-marriage, and the current state. The patient's own state of causations, the early genesis of those forsaken feelings, then the evolution through which those feelings continued, and she went on supplying, and now the current state where the functioning continues with supply, and her dissatisfactions which is there inside went repressed. She suffered at a physical level and also at the mind level. Now this is how you understand the whole event and whole phenomena this patient went through. Now when we look at the interview, now the interview was taken by a physician who agreed to what patient shared. That means the state and the subjective perspective of physician of suffering of the patient and the patient's own suffering, they came inside, and this is how, from where this whole life sketch has got built up. And there was no attempt by a physician to get out and understand objectively that why the people behaved the way they behaved. We continue to agree to what patient said. Now this is so then this document, what we are seeing is a combined effort of an interview, of a phenomena between patient and a physician. So now let's see what is phenomenology. It is in philosophy, the use of the word phenomenon differ from other uses in that it refers to perceived event. Now these are so many events which we perceived, may be perceived through person's senses or with their mind. So it is being perceived through patient's mind and physician's mind and senses. This terminology originated by philosopher Husserl, Stuz, and Ponty. This is a framework for providing a qualitative understanding of human experience. Now, this was an experience which patient went through. Now we have tried to qualitatively understand this experience, and next stage to focus on what meaning we are giving it to. So we have tried to give a meaning to this experience of which she went through, and what are the perspectives, and what she did is a cycle. But one thing which we failed to explore was whether what she was supplying is what the people needed. So what is the meaning of experience? The process of getting knowledge or skill from doing, seeing or feeling things. So what is an essential meaning of the experience? It is that which it is and without which it could not be. It's an interesting definition. Now, what is an example? What is the essence of being mother? When you ask plenty of females, what is a mother? What is an essence of being mother? And you put down their experiences, and then you will understand that if those aspects are there, then it is an essence of being mother. So again, now the another example is what is an essential structure of a caring nurse client interaction. So now what we are doing, we are collecting those experiences, trying to integrate them and understand those experiences, and then give meaning to those experiences. And this is what happens when we interact with the patient's life history. And if you interact with number of life histories with the same medicine, I mean, we will be able to understand what is the possible different areas and their experience of those patients, which is connected with the same cause. From one perspective is a remedy, and from other perspective is the causations, which we are now talking about. So all patients who receives magnesium, whether their experience is the same, similar, in what areas, with whom, what are the causations, what is the evolution, what are the expressions. Now this is the study of this whole phenomena is called phenomenology. So what does a physician want? Physician wants to understand human experience. The goal is to understand an universal meaning of an experience. And when we reduce that context specific information to a more general understanding of phenomena, then that study is a phenomenology. Like now we have seen in one case how we have derived magnesium. Whether the similar things and similar experiences we can experience through number of magnesium cases. And if we are able to context specific information and we are able to generalize them, then probably we'll be able to understand what is a phenomenological study of materia medica. So what is the final goal? That's what I said, to produce a brief statement that will inform us about what is this phenomena is all about. So phenomenologists assume that the human experience is inherently subjective. Now all the experiences which patient shares us, what we receive, are subjective, and that is why the aphorism number 6 of unprejudiced observations and the perspective of at what level one should collect the information, the framework, is both very, very important for us to reduce subjectivity. But primarily all experiences will definitely have the subjective touch. Within this subjective experience are essential structure. So when we are understanding these subjective experiences from the patient, there is a structure through which the patient shares and we understand. Now this structure can be their experience sharing of a different stages, or the different level, or a different types. So the way to gain access this structure is through description. So when we write life space, we are putting down the description, or we can record the interview and we put down the whole description of those interviews, and then we start analyzing those interviews. So physician chooses the phenomena and select appropriate model. So we want a model on which we will collect the information. So our case taking model or a data collection framework, which we all have. So we choose the patient, we choose the framework, we interview the patient, and we put down the experience of patient. We also put down the what experience we went through. And once those experiences are put down, we reduce and we abstract. Now, like here, we abstract the perspective of causations from the perspective of a forsaken feeling. Then the other theme was what are the functioning and how she functioned. Then third thing was what are the sufferings she went through, and then what are the final culminations in terms of effect. Now these were the themes which are reduced to, and we could finally create a statement out of that one experience, and then we give it back. Now we cannot give it back to the patient, but we can give it back to the different participant or an observer and validate these findings. And in this, the physician's own experiences are also there, because you cannot have a description of patient without we putting in our experience. And since the outcome is part of physician, patient, and observer, it brings in a central area where all the three overlaps, and that is the primary essence of the whole experience. So what is the characteristic of phenomenology? Use of subjective data to describe an objective truth. We have used the subjective data of the patient, physician, observer of a patient to describe an objective truth, like why patient is suffering, what patient did, and what are the outcomes. Physician's own experience needs to be integrated, and finding the common thread. So what is a common thread? Now we have only dealt with one experience. If you go on dealing with multiple experience of magnesium, you will find a common thread. So we need to have this primarily framework of homeopathic philosophy, have to create a framework so that we are able to interact with the patient in an integrated, balanced way, which will take us to totality. And when number of totality is integrated, probably we'll be able to create a thematic materia medica or phenomenological based materia medica. So what are the core part? One is we must be conscious about the causation, because each phenomena in nature got an invariable set of antecedents. So every cause will have expression, and every expression may be a cause. So we must track down all the causes of that phenomena. And we also, and from homeopathic perspective, now these causations can be predisposition, precipitating and exciting causes, maintaining and modifying causes, and the concomitant. So each of these cause effect will have coexistent, correlational association symptoms and the expressions. So once we combine both of these in a individual phenomena, we are able to construct a whole image of materia medica based on phenomenological study. So we explore from birth to death, from causation to expressions with concomitant, from predisposition, disposition, diathesis to disease, and expression at the mind and body, and create number of themes related with that particular remedy through number of cases. Then probably we'll be able to do a quality phenomenological study of materia medica. I hope things are getting clear. If any issues, you can put me a chat box so that I can answer them. It's a little difficult subject, because this is also an part of qualitative research which we must explore at our maybe an PG level or a PhD level to derive the phenomenological study of mind, which we are now working in today in a homeopathic materia medica. Sir, I can take any questions till date or go ahead. Hello? Hello?
Sir, yes, sir.
Can I go ahead, or if there are any questions or anything?
No, sir, you can go ahead. No questions yet.
Acha. Okay, no problem. So let's see the second case. This is a 37 years old male who is 8th fail, married since 7 years, has got 3 brothers, and he reports to our OPD. Now look at the type of pathology he has. Very bad tortuosity, distended veins with huge bulging, pain, pulling, stitching, with pulling and stitching sensations, with the discolorations, and everything started in 10 years and gradually progressive. He's getting pain while walking, standing prolonged, better by sitting and better by lying down. These are the classical modalities of varicose veins, but the intensity is quite high at age of 37. Now, what is another complaint? Now, the patient has got biliary system problem with a bile stone, gallbladder stone, with the feeling of getting something stuck, with a burning pain and eructations, with midnight aggravation, with fried food aggravation, prolonged sitting, and feeling of heat all over the body. And he has some sebaceous glands, so sebaceous cyst, and also has got renal stone. With the increased frequency, has to rush soon after drinking water, frequency 3 marks. And we can see again this patient has got excessive body odor from perspiration, with the craving sweet, meat and fried, urging frequent and unsatisfactory stool. Desires are suppressed because he stays away from the wife, and plenty of unremembered dreams. Hemorrhoids since 17 years back and operated, lumbago, hepatitis 3 years back, and hydronephrosis because of the obstructed renal stone. BP was normal. I would say the USG pelvis 29 millimeter gallbladder calculus with the right renal hydronephrosis, with upper tooth or hydroureter, with cystitis, and the Doppler of the lower limb talks of incompetent medial third perforator. Now, the history of this person. This person had a joint family. Father was the eldermost. He was earning well, and he was able to feed the whole family. There was a dispute in a family where the all uncles and father got separated in a business. But uncle cheated the father, and they used to sell all their fish to the market on the name of the father. And by the time father used to go, because he was alone, all the fishes were being sold off, and family had to face lot of financial burden and the stress, and the conflict between the family took to the major plight for the children, because their 2 times food also got compromised. So patient felt extremely sad, and he was feeling very bad for the father and the condition of the family, and he used to weep alone. So what happened was, the patient by himself started working on a relative's farm at the age of 8 to 9 years, since he was not interested and he was pained by the family's financial status. But one thing was very clear in his mind, that father was not that much loving and caring as far as he was concerned. So to see father relaxed and happy, he started working. Now that was the first effort he did to make father happy. He continued to work in the field at 17 years of age, with the suggestion of the one of the relative. He shifted to P, and he worked on machine in company, and he earned 500 rupees, and he used to send it to home. Now what did he do? He tried to go out of way, and he skipped his meal. He tried to make food himself. He ate food outside, which is cheaper, and he, with the continuous hard work, there was a lack of water intake, and he suffered from hemorrhoids at that time. He used to send all the money back home, because he thought that this will make father happy and make family comfortable. So ease out responsibilities. After 2 years, after 10 months, he went back to meet father. And one day during dinner, patient told his brother that you better concentrate on your studies, and not spend time otherwise. We will look after all of your needs. Father got angry on patient, because he did not like the way patient told to the brothers. He said to brother that I am alive and to look after all this. You should not say this in these matters, as they are not living on your money. And this again disappointed the patient very badly, and he decided he will not say anything from now, being eldest son of the family. He used to weep, think a lot. uh, till 10 years he worked at P and went back after that, as he suffered from severe lumbar pain. He always gave his maximum salary to family, to father, for their betterment, as he wanted some recognition and some appreciation from father. He never made a friend at P, because he thought that having a friendship, he will have to spend a lot of money to maintain it. Only purpose was to work hard, send it back to the father and get his appreciation. He only used to work and sleep, no other activity. He never wasted any money. When he went back at village with lumbago, father did not support him much. Father feels that patient never supported family. Now this is an interesting thing. Patient feels that he supports the family, and father feels that he never supported the family. Patient stayed with the aunt. Aunt persuaded him to get married to a very educated lady who was working. Patient first tried to refuse it, saying that he will spoil the life of that lady who is so educated, and he was not ready to do it. But then that lady was ready to marry patient, so they got married. Now this is an interesting perspective, that patient goes out of way when the somebody is ready to get that appreciation, that he is so accommodative, so have got a good perspective, and he is ready to give away things. And now this quality of his temperament continued, and he continued to give support and help to patient's family, to father. So next thing what happened was, father wanted to buy a property, so he approached patient for money. Patient asked him that I will give money, but you do it on my name. But father, after receiving money, he took property on his own name and told him that there was some problem, that is why he took. But patient never, when patient was very unhappy, but he never spoke back to father on this matter. He was very disappointed, that struggles to make his father realize his effort, but he is unable to get that effort from father. He misses his son and wife who are staying away. They are in Kolkata. Wife is working and having a good salary. And with all this suffering, he went through so much of physical illnesses, but he's still wanting to give to family, to father, to wife, and wants to work for happiness of all others. And he gradually, now he started feeling that he will die soon with so many complaints, but he wants to live long to improve his own family's status. So now again, with the forsaken feeling, with the lack of love and care, patient was the wanting to get that recognition from father. So he went on out of way of doing and overdoing the process, but in the process he never got it. And all those feelings, when retained, he suffered from gallbladder stone, renal stone, and varicose veins. The patient was prescribed Magmur 200 1 powder weekly, in between few infrequent doses of Thuja. He was under treatment from June 2019 till today. All his complaints, the mood, the disturbed sleep, his eructations, his varicosities, everything improved, and his frequency of the motions, his frequency of urine, all have improved. He passed one stone and his gallbladder stone, which was 32 mm to start with, became 25 mm and 13 mm as of last sonography, which was done on 11/5/2020. And he passed. This is a renal stone size, which is almost maybe an 7 mm stone, which he passed and which he brought us to show us in a month of January. So what is, again, we are now seeing a magnesium with a neglect, forsaken, vexed feeling, suppressed emotions, overdoing. He go on supplying. He demands love, care, not getting, dissatisfaction. He further do it in a hope that he will receive love, care on some day. So this is again a magnesium. So we are now seeing, both the cases developing a similar theme of void of love, yearning for love and recognition demand, which is internal, unfulfilled, choose to supply to others, but supply what she thinks will bring the love and care, and is not very conscious and sensitive to that. Probably the other person is not concerned. So she doesn't get the things back, the appreciation for which she does. She gets into dissatisfied state, and then everything repression. So either suffer from mind and body, or his dreams or her dreams, which have reflected their internal mental state. So now we are seeing the two parallel magnesium cases. Now what we have seen again in a second case, the physician who explored went on subjectively feeling the pain of the patient. But both the cases brings the question about why somebody should behave the way patient feels. So is the patient not able to receive the love, care from others because probably they are not in the form in which the patient wants? We are not even able to explore what are the further actions which to take. So here the physician and patient both went through the same experience as well as observer. So we have got both the documents with their descriptions, in which the theme of causations in terms of neglect, in terms of early genesis, in terms of overdoing, and in terms of suffering. And there is a definite perspective of all those, that how individual cope and adapt to these state of feeling. Now this is a short case which will further explain. This is a 78 years old retired car driver who is a Christian. His father is expired, two brothers are expired. Patient was admitted under general surgery with the right grade 2 amputation done by surgeon. This was the state after amputation. After few days again gangrene started. So referred to orthopedic surgeon, he did debridement, but again gangrene started. So 15th, within 8 days, the slough and bone, you can see the state, the bad state, which is not healing. Advised below knee amputations in view of increased sugar level. Patient is a highly diabetic. So what were the case we have now in our hand? So we have swelling with the ulcers, with no pain, with serous offensive discharge, with the elevated sugar and the loss of sensation, with the pain which is throbbing beyond amputation. There's a touch and aggravation movement of ankle. Now he had a past history of hypertension, which was treated with antihypertensive. He has flexor deformities, so there are possibilities of osteoarthritis, with the general perspiration all over, with the hunger aggravation, craving chicken and curd rice. Based on the local symptoms, we prescribed carbo animalis. After carbo animalis, in 15 days, there was some aspect of healing and the offensiveness reduced. Again, after a few days, there were some granulation tissues which were appearing, but there was no further improvement. So we decided to take a complete case, and two people were involved, the physician and one of the observer, and we got two versions. Primarily, I would put the two perspective of looking at the patient. The physician, who is a male, could see a father figure in a patient. He was impressed by a patient, how he has struggled, done hard work, whatever small life space we got from the patient, and come up with the life. They were not able to explore much about the early life, and the post life. He did lot of the post coming to Mumbai. He did lot of hard work, and he was running a taxi. He has got 3 sons, out of which 2 are separated. One son is with him. He got his daughter married, but there was some problem at daughter's side, so daughter and brother-in-law, son-in-law stays with him. He did not go much into detail. He was not ready to give what happened further. Wife, he was in a great relationship with wife, and she was the only support which he could gather in his life. And the wife died sometimes back, and after that he was shattered. Now he is trying to get back to the life. He want to get mixed with the people, want communication, but now he is not able to work, so he is at home. So from all this suffering, the male physician was very impressed that how this man has built up his life and focused on positive aspects, while the female observer had all the sympathies that at this age, how is he managing himself alone, suffering. So she was more sympathized with the physician's, with the patient's current suffering. Now we had very scanty data. Now how to understand the patient. So this is male and the female combinations, perceiving the unsaid and unknown. Now this is where we need to understand happening during the interview. So what actions which patient did, which were pointing to certain themes. From observer says that patient avoids quarrels. That means he wants peace. He gets palpitations when he sees people quarreling. Even if somebody hits him, he thinks that it may have been his fault. Now understand how he thinks and keeps quiet about it. Says that when you talk, your talk is good, people remember you. Now see the way through his behavior, he want appreciation, he want recognition from the people. And at the end of interview, with the folded hand, he apologized with the physician and observer and said, if I have done any mistake in communication, please forgive me. Now this is the way in which patient deals with the life. Now this is one of the phenomena which happened during interview. Now this is the same common thing from the physicians, that he fears quarrel, he doesn't use bad words or expresses his anger. He will give rise to quarrel, and people may harm him, hit him, and what people think about him. At the end of interview, he said that he always uses good and never bad words, also expecting same things from everyone. He repeatedly told sorry to PP if there is any mistake while talking, as he is an illiterate person. For many questions, he answers quickly, telling that he doesn't know or doesn't remember, but he tries to, communicate some detail afterwards. Now, this is a peculiar behavior of giving, of asking sorry, getting appreciation, getting recognition, without he disclosing all the plight of otherwise life, about sons, about daughter, about other son who is unmarried. So probably all those experience and expressions may be conscious, may be suppressed, or may be repressed. So repressed emotions, unknown to his own difficulties. So only available thing is a hardworking quality with display of being good to everybody. And all this to gain the recognition and care and desired. So this patient was given magnesium with diabetes, gangrene, old age, with endocrine system, and a depression and a lack of emotions with want of appreciation. So now you can see this was 7th March, and gradually the whole thing went on healing. These are the last pictures which you can see, and this only happened with MACCAB. Now, this also talks of the way we deal with our internal things and the way we deal with our own pain. Now, this was the wound healed because magnesium healed inside. Those wounds were open but painless. Now, he had got painless wound because he was not conscious of the pain which he was going through. Now, this is again a magnesium which we can see all the three cases. Now, let's brief few commentators how they have seen. When Kant said illegitimate infants conceived from clandestine relations, orphan children. Now, is the orphan means that child does not have mother? No, orphan means that you do not get the love, care of a mother or a parent or the people who take care of you. That is orphan. Orphan is a concept. It's not a reality alone. Now, what Vidulka says that magnesiums are peacemaker. Now, you have seen in all our cases also. So, the same theme of peacemaker. Suppressed own emotions, they have got a lot of sense of duties and anxieties, but central thing is peacemaker. Whitmond also wants, very interesting part is tendency of walling off, quiet and composed. But he also talks of at the end when they are pushed, there are possibility of outburst, which we have not seen in our cases, but we need to explore this. Now here also, if you look at the Sholton, there is a pacifism, to be accepted, to be loved, and for that he is passive to get it, but he goes on giving, supplying. And there are times when there is an aggression to be recognized, to define borders and outbursts. So feeling neglect and this pattern of developing own self-worth and developing love, getting love, the processes which even these commentators talks of comes very close to what experience we had from all the three cases. So now we have got so many experience with the insight of these commentators, so we can understand how thematically or phenomenologically we understand the evolution of magnesium. So rooted most primitive repressions. So what is a primary cause? Is a child without primary care, orphan, single parent, adopted, working parent, daycare center, creche, or the rejection by, or since rejects his parents and they reject him. So he goes through inferiority complex, he withdraws, he is not able to communicate, so he resort to different channelization, like our first patient went and started working with those underprivileged children. So all those hostility, aggression is suppressed or repressed. So then he gradually become unaware about them, unfamiliar, and he seeks recognitions, he demands. But when he doesn't get, he weeps alone. He wants identity, he wants, and that recognition, so he go on performing, he become obedient, he become academic, he tries to excel. These are the ways you get recognition and appreciation. He tries to work in extracurricular activities. But all these, if there is any problem, they experience the anxiety. But only thing which is consistent is their effort and their sustenance. So they become teacher, painter, artist, singer, gurus. They are very faithful and sincere worker. They reach out to masses, but internally they are withdrawn. So sometimes they may get into unsuccessful, hopeless, and may go to suicide, which is at very, very late stage. So they have got ability to get out of these depressions. They give even more. When they marry, they expect spouse to supplement, the mother love. They develop strong bond. with the conducive environment, they are able to sustain. With the non-conducive environment, they get into suffering. So what is the level of suffering? Sorry, they may get into mental suffering, to schizophrenia, mania, or psychosis, and destroy themselves, or get into delusion, or all level of physical sufferings at a syphilitic level. So we have seen from a SORA to retention of psychosis, maybe some explosion in between of a tubercular, but finally the destruction, which is very, very late in magnesium. It's not like, aurum, or it's not like lachesis, and it's very late. They sustain, they manage, they maintained with the void of love, repressed desires, trying to be good, no reciprocation, and body and this. So this is how we have developed a theme through this phenomenological study. But is the phenomenology only applied to the mind? No. There are a lot of phenomena which are observed in physics, in chemistry, in physiology. So at what level you can see phenomena? In physics, chemistry, mathematics, evolutionary biology, how the biological structures and functions evolved, how psych is evolved, how pathology is evolved, how psychopathology is evolved, how miasm is evolved, and how individual disease is evolved, and how evolutionary homeopathic pathology is evolved when patient and environment interact with each other, and we notify and describe all these experience. In this presentation, we have restricted to the level of mind. You can go and even understand the hypermagnesium, role of magnesium, intracellular, extracellular, and connect with your evolving themes and phenomenological study of Materia Medica. So I'll give you brief understanding of it's the second lightest alkali, ranked 4th in overall body. It is stabilized, third most abundant element dissolved in seawater. So it's such an important part of our body. It is 50% of total amount in bone, 45% of muscles and nerve, 5% in extracellular fluid, and 2. So it is an integral part of functioning at all the levels. Function of magnesium is active energy production. I mean, it is energy production. So that is why you can see the amount of continuous activity the magnesium is able to perform, sustain it, and it does it through insulin utilization and carbohydrate metabolism. It is catalyst, that is, it is trying to give on speed to various reactions in the body, and it is helpful to also, even at the mind level, you see the patient is helpful. He tries to bring the peace and continue. It developed a strength or a structure. So through protein synthesis, with the calcium homeostasis and PTH, he trying to be a structure of a bone and muscles. So it is an important part, plays an important part at plenty of level of not only mind, at the body. So this is one of the deep acting constitutional remedies in all 4 miasms. Central core of this is mind. This is required for energy generations and distributions, which is very, very basic for survival. The love is the force which binds life together, but their early experience of love lake triggers the whole phenomena which builds their life around the hunger, or I would say the appreciation or the required love they need from the people around. Magnesium has got very high melting point, so they have got heat resistance, so they are very resistant to deeper stressor of life. They are strength to the character and the human disposition. You have seen how our people have sustained all the 3 patients, and the type of image our commentators also have said. They are very frustrated and unhappy person, but they present a very placid front, as if nothing is happening inside. And this all starts with the rejection of the parents, which can be as early as mother's womb, and hypersensitivity. The primary adapting, how they adapt to the life, is by repressions, by dream. They have deep negative energy but with a very, very positive energy looks, smile on the face, but suffering from inside is a central idea. So phenomenological study needs, integration of internal and external environment of a patient, prover, physician, and observer. Now all these interactions, they produce experience. Now this experience, when put into the description, will give you the theme of those remedies. And once we create those theme and put into the structure and evolutionary content, we understand the totality of that perspective remedy, which built a patient's totality and homeopathic materia medica. So what is a phenomenological study of materia medica? All the experience needs to be documented, including of the patient, physician, and observer. These experiences need to be categorized based on document and the framework. Common themes needs to be extracted. All the common themes, when connected logically, will be evolutionary study of homeopathic materia medica, which emerges out of life experiences. So we are giving meaning to those experiences, generalizing them, integrating them, and making a live image of a remedy in a evolutionary fashion. So this is, in nutshell, is a phenomenological study of materia medica. I really thankful to the organizing team and Dr. Sani sir for inviting me for this presentation. The work input put by the Department of Materia Medica of my ML Dhawale Memorial Homeopathic Institute. All the patients who make their experience available to us for our learning, and all the observers who participate in learning through experience, including our students, our faculty, and our teacher. Thank you, sir.